We're the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. 9 men were arrested at Port Miami after drug discoveries during screenings for an Atlantis charter gay cruise aboard Symphony of the Seas.
The Pentagon threatens to cut funding to Scouting America over inclusive policies that oppose Donald Trump's anti-LGBTQ executive order.
Marjorie Greene says MAGA betrayed Americans, accusing Donald Trump of serving wealthy donors, global interests, and abandoning Epstein victims.
Review of 50 studies finds trans women lack athletic advantage after hormone therapy, supporting inclusion and fairness in sports worldwide.
Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos denied Senator Josh Hawley's accusations, calling claims of transgender indoctrination inaccurate during a heated Senate exchange.
All this important LGBTQ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily television news show, broadcasting live and available on demand and on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 11 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There are no news programs in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, February 5th. We are literally live and out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. Hotspots Happening Out is a proud beneficiary of the 2026 Florida AIDS Walk, standing strong by our healthcare pillar. Funds raised are matched dollar for dollar in support of our HIV policy reform and educational programs, including our MSM conference. We invite you to donate and walk with us on March 21st to walk in support of Hotspots Happening Out teams.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment show support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBT community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade, float design, and production, and casting. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, Movies in the Park brings us Some Like It Hot on February 13th. So tell me, what's happening out?
Sure, Alex. The Leisure Services Department invites the community to Movies in the Park, Some Like It Hot, on Friday, February 13th at 7 p.m. Enjoy a classic comedy, Under the Stars, at Richardson Historic Park and Nature Preserve, featuring a 20-foot inflatable movie screen for larger-than-life experience. Guests are encouraged to bring blankets and chairs for comfortable outdoor viewing. Please note that no concessions will be available for this showing, so bring your own snacks and treats. This free, family-friendly event is perfect for movie lovers looking to relax, laugh, and enjoy an evening of cinematic magic in a beautiful park setting. More details at wiltonmanors.gov. Well, I've seen several shows there. I know that Plays of Wilton, Ronnie Larson, has done The Sound of Music there. There have been other events there. I've been there for private events, and it's a lovely venue. So I encourage you to go out. I think Some Like It Hot is a classic. And I think, some interesting facts for a movie that came out in 1959. It's interesting how drag was acceptable when the main male characters were heterosexual actors. And we look at what we're seeing now with all the controversy with drag, especially here in South Florida.
And of course, it's a Marilyn Monroe classic,
Yes.
So we should all appreciate the art, the fine art of Hollywood.
Yes.
In its golden age.
And as someone who keeps, for viewers that we're so used to, you talk about the movie, is this an inside event? Or is it an outdoor event?
No, it's outdoors.
Oh, okay.
So actually,
because I know you normally talk about the events in the park, and I got a little confused listening. Though that's just because I always get confused.
So actually, they're really well set up. They have a nice lawn in the back of the park, and if you don't get immediate parking there's the municipal lot right across the street at Town Hall. But one of the things I wanted to add on too, which I found interesting in doing some research, is in 1959 there were theaters in Kansas that banned the movie because of the cross-dressing element.
God.
So, I love the cast.
Some parts of history just constantly.
That's right.
Well, remember, we talk about the middle of the nowhere sort of places like Kansas. I'm not running for anything in Kansas. I can say that. But in New York City, you could be arrested in 1969 for having 3 articles of clothing of the opposite gender, and that's what they would arrest people at literally arresting people at Stonewall for. And I'm kind of like, how do you decide which is what gender? They're like a fashion book that you're allowed, but this sounds so fun. I love that you're doing Some Like It Hot on a day that's going to be 60 degrees in Florida, but for the former New Englander, that is actually very warm, and Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Some Like It Hot on February 13th. Let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen and a dear friend of mine, regardless of what it gets me in trouble for in public. A world traveler and versatile in global affairs, Bobby provides an international perspective on current events. A PhD in conflict resolution, Bobby is certified in civil and family mediation and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
Hi, sweetie. Well, thank you for welcoming me. And,
I'm sure I get you in more trouble than I get.
Hey, this is the only time anyone would describe me as versatile, so I'll take it.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome to the show, Alex. What's happening?
Thank you, Larry. I'm just so happy to be here tonight. It's always a fun time to be here, and it's just going to be another great night. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up South Florida. 9 arrested in drug bust on gay cruise. 9 men were arrested at Port Miami as they attempted to board the Atlantis-chartered cruise aboard Symphony of the Seas. Billed as the world's biggest gay festival at sea, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officials flagged luggage during outbound screenings at Port Miami, leading to drug-related arrests involving MDMA, LSD, cocaine, and other substances. Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office's Detective Joseph R. Padguero Rivera said MDSO arrested a total of 9 individuals on various drug-related charges, end quote. Those charged include passengers from California, Tennessee, Georgia, Washington, Arizona, Illinois, and yes, Florida. Among them are a meta manager, a nurse, and a political aide. Arrest reports show all were booked into the Turner Guilford Night Correction Center. One defendant, Adam Jones, denies the allegations. His attorney said, quote, "The defense is confident their investigation will demonstrate that he was falsely accused and will be able to show that none of the impounded items belong to him," end quote. The cruise was chartered by Atlantis Events, whose voyages have previously faced scrutiny following onboard medical emergencies. The ship is scheduled to return to Miami on Sunday. Well, I just want to say first and foremost, when it comes to jury selection, I know I'm not going to get picked because I'm the type that in jury selection I always say I won't vote guilty on a drug charge. I think drug charges are absolutely absurd. The idea that you're going to lock someone up for allegedly having a substance you can't even prove it's them, and with the idea that it could have been not theirs or planted. I always remind people it was a state trooper in Florida convicted of 200 to 300 people. He would pull them over and say, I smell marijuana, and oh look, I somehow found crystal meth, because they smell the same apparently, but it's just, this is so weird to see this sort of story, and it's concerning to see that once again we're just doing so much against people on things like drugs, and shouldn't there be like actual criminals they should be going after?
True, and well, on the other hand, I'm just happy that CBP is still doing their job outside of hurling innocent people out of their homes.
I thought you were talking about CBP, the marijuana thing. I'm like, what?
No,
like Border Patrol, yeah.
But yeah, and also drugs are bad. Okay, I mean, at least try to hide it better. I mean, I have nothing else to say.
So you're for putting people in jail for having substances on them?
No, I'm for people who avoid getting arrested by hiding them more carefully.
Oh, good.
Well, and I think if I forget how many thousand were in news articles on this, but I think, if you're going on a cruise, you need to think ahead of time, what's going to be acceptable and not. And I'm sure that there must be some prompting by the cruise, companies that run this, what's acceptable and not. So,
and Atlantis have actually previously had problems of people having medical emergencies on board, and it's probably part of the reason that people are more scrutinized.
So I've never done
into the thing.
Yeah, I've never done an Atlantis cruise. I don't know if either of you have.
Many years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Did they warn you ahead of time? Like, don't bring illegal things. Border Patrol might scan it.
I mean, I think that's just common sense.
Nothing is common sense anymore, Bobby. No one knows. You have to tell
people. I think the one thing which was interesting. This is many, many years ago. Going to Central America, we were warned that it was either Honduras or Guatemala. They had military at the docks, and they just told the gay men not to flirt with them because it's a very Catholic country.
Well, actually,
well, I come from a Catholic family. All the more reason to flirt.
I'm Bobby Huen, and let's queer up the USA view. Pentagon targets scouts over inclusion. The Pentagon is threatening to cut federal funding to Scouting America, the organization formerly known as the Boy Scouts, over its gender-inclusive policies. The Department of Defense says Scouting America must comply with an executive order from Donald Trump calling for the elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts or risk losing support. Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell wrote on Twitter, quote, Scouting America's leadership has made decisions that run counter to the values of this administration and this Department of War, including an embrace of DEI and other social justice, gender-fluid ideological stances. This is unacceptable, end quote. Scouting America has expanded inclusion over the past decade, admitting openly gay scouts in 2013, lifting bans on gay adult leaders in 2015, and welcoming girls and transgender boys starting in 2017. LGBTQ advocates warn the funding threats could hamper inclusive youth spaces nationwide. Well, for one thing, if Scouting America lose Pentagon funding, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Girl Scouts never got such a thing. The Pentagon funding comes from remnants of when Boy Scouts were Boy Scouts of America, and one of their big events, Jamboree, I believe, was held in government property, I believe. Some kind of military base.
As a former Cub Scout, I remember being told about Jamboree when I was this literally 30-something years ago, practically. But I don't remember if it was on government. It was on a big space.
I remember, what's his name now? He used to work I interviewed him for my dissertation, Zach. What's his name? He was an Eagle Scout. Yeah. He was an Eagle. There were a lot of scandals that propelled Scouting America to change names from Boy Scouts to Scouting America, and also to the inclusion, including the revelations that just like the Catholic Church, Boy Scouts had their own predator problem.
Well, as a former Cub Scout myself, I think the one thing you have to look at is the Pentagon is funded by tax money. So for them to say we're not going to be funding something, we know where the right wing is coming from right now, but it's so incredibly petty.
Well, yeah. It is there are two parts of it. One, should the Department of Defense be funding something for children? Because it's always implied that it's you're trying to encourage kids to go sign up for the war machine, and I'm always the one that tells the young person, don't sign up for the American Empire, kid. They don't pay well.
But anywho,
the other part of this that Larry's talking about, which is the president just wants to do by fiat whatever he wants, and that's not okay either. Because, like, a part of me feels like, why didn't Obama do this to the Scouts back in, like, 2008 to, like, queer kids then?
And I look back, and we had several den mothers in my neighborhood. I mean, everybody knew I was gay before I really accepted it.
My parents.
I have to say, though, that experience, no matter what you think of Cub Scouts or the scouting, was good for me for the interaction with other boys, interaction with other parents who ran, the dens locally. So, we're being taxed. We pay the cost of the Pentagon. They should not be involved at all.
And, like, I didn't go into Boy Scouts, not for anything weird. I just wasn't into camping. Like, could you see me a kid camping? This queen?
Oh, honey, no.
Not even a Winnebago?
Yeah, this queen was like, my version of camping at, like, 12, I was like, yeah, if there's a hotel with, like, a fireplace, I'll go to those woods.
A hotel with a fire pit. But as you pointed out, Scouting has always been, especially Boy Scouts, I'm not talking about Girl Scouts here, Boy Scouts has always had, like, a whiff of paramilitarism to it, which also brings some uncomfortable implications. So for me, if they lose support from the Pentagon, so be it. There are plenty of other nonprofits or foundations that will prop them right back up.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll work out, and hopefully, we won't have someone that continues to just rule by fiat.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up politics. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, quote, MAGA was a lie, end quote. Former Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is publicly breaking with Donald Trump, declaring the MAGA movement, quote, was all a lie, end quote. In an interview with radio host Kim Iverson, Greene accused Donald Trump and his administration of serving wealthy donors over everyday Americans. Greene said, quote, I think people are realizing it was all a lie. It was a big lie for the people. What MAGA is really serving in this administration, who they're serving is their big donors, end quote. Greene also criticized Trump's foreign policy priorities, alleging that global corporate interests are driving U.S. decisions. Referring to the war in Gaza, she said, quote, we are seeing war on behalf of Israel. We are seeing the people in Gaza, innocent people in Gaza, hundreds of thousands of them completely murdered so that they can build some new real estate development. Money can pour in and everyone can get rich there in the new Gaza, end quote. The fallout traces back to the disputes over the Epstein files. Greene said Trump rejected her proposal to invite Epstein's victims to the White House, calling it their final conversation. In her resignation letter, Greene wrote, quote, standing up for American women who were raped at 14, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for, end quote. Well, Marjorie, it's a little bit too late.
A little too late.
Yeah, a little too late. I mean, yes, I hear where you're coming from, but it's a little too late.
And suddenly now she's concerned about the Gazans. I mean, she wasn't.
She's been complaining about Israel's actions for some time. I have to fact check you on that one. That's like the only thing I can defend her on at the moment. But carry on.
But also, she was the one who parroted all those policies. She was the one who's went for bad to Trump when she spouted the transphobic nuisance, anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, and hoeing the MAGA and the heritage. Let's say that's the heritage line, and now that's the money stopped coming from the Heritage Foundation and all those donors, and suddenly she's turning her. I mean,
she started turning before she resigned. Yeah, she started. I don't think. I don't mean to defend her when I say this, Bobby. I don't think she says the things that she says over money. I think it's a dash of crazy and maybe starting to finally see, oh, hey, maybe I've just been following Fox News a little too much and I've been lied to my whole life.
If she intends on running for re-election, I don't think any of this.
Why would she run for re-election?
I mean, if she did not resign, if she's going to stay in the House and run for re-election, I don't think any of this.
There's always the possibility she might run for president. That's where there's been speculation.
Marjorie Taylor Greene for president is it's probably the worst idea yet, and we already have.
Do you know what I used to say in 2015? Yeah, in 2015, I used to say Donald Trump for president was the worst idea ever. That doesn't stop it from happening.
No, so look at Sarah Palin.
No.
Oh, God. That's a crash and burn right there. But it's a good comparison because Sarah Palin also resigned. She didn't let her term finish. She just up and resigned. And I always thought that was weird with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But like the other things, like to really get my 2 cents on this, as I always do. Like, if she didn't do, like, one of the last things she did in Congress was to get a transphobic bill passed. And that really burns me to my core with her. Because, like, a part of me is like, maybe you are finally seeing the light. Maybe we can convert you to be a lefty, Marjorie, but you gotta, like, figure out that trans people are people, queen.
Yes.
Like, what the heck is wrong with you? It's really frustrating with that. Like, I love that she's noticed that big donors are a problem in America. Thank you. No one else has seen that. You're a visionary. And corporate interests in our foreign affairs, wow. No one knew. Please. We're doing nothing in Venezuela because of oil.
She was in the House. She could have legislated against Citizens United. She could have written a bill, get sponsors to overturn Citizens United. She didn't.
But instead, she got the House to pass a bill to hurt trans people that magically was 3 Republican votes short, and 3 Democrats just appeared out of the woodwork, as Democrats disturbingly do too much with this legislation.
I'm Bobby Huen, and let's queer up sports. Science finds no athletic edge for trans women. A new scientific review is challenging one of the most common claims used against trans inclusion in sports. A new analysis of 52 studies suggests trans women do not have a competitive fitness advantage over cisgender women after undergoing hormone replacement therapy. Researchers involved data from PubMed, Web of Science, Embase, and Sports Discuss. This reviewing data from nearly 6,500 people aged 14 to 41. That group consists of nearly 3,000 trans women, along with over 2,300 trans men, and include hundreds of cis women and cis men. The finding shows that after months of hormone therapy, trans women demonstrate strength and fitness levels comparable to cisgender women. Researchers find no measurable differences in upper and lower body strength or in maximal oxygen consumption, a key indicator of athletic performance. While trans women retained slightly higher muscle mass than cis women after 1 to 3 years of hormone therapy, they also had significantly higher fat mass, further countering claims of athletic dominance. The scientists behind the review emphasized the need for fairness and inclusion, writing, quote, continued research in physiological as well as psychosocial trajectories among transgender athletes with diverse demographics and clinical characteristics remain essential for developing equitable framework that balance justice, inclusion, and scientific rigor. End quote. For LGBTQ audience, the message is clear. Science continues to affirm fairness, not fear. Well, kudos for the scientists who did the study, and I believe that I also just want to point out that a lot of times transphobic behavior in sports come from very unexpected places. We have already know, the 5th place finisher who finished 5th place behind a bunch of cis women and still complaining that she co-finished the 5th place with a trans woman.
Same with AOC, who put it best to her, saying you should have just swam faster.
But secondly, I remember stories that were involved like professional dart players and pool players, like snooker players, who complain about inclusion of trans athletes in their sports. I'm like, you play darts. Yeah. This is not, this is not a 400-meter sprint. Why would there be like a special advantage? And now apparently the Algerian boxer who was being accused as being trans by American outlets for just because that she is a masculine presenting cis woman, is now just told the press that she is willing to submit to gender testing in order to prove that she's cisgender for the Olympics come 2028, which I find that to be absolutely unnecessary, but also speaks to how transphobia has seeped into the very fabric of sports, even international sports competition like the bloody Olympics.
I have a broken record on this sometimes, but I always try to remind people when we're talking about trans sports, we're not talking about trans murders. That's the whole reason the right-wing media wants us talking about trans sports. I'm not shocked that, lo and behold, when you look at a bunch of people, you're like, oh, there's nowhere near as many varied differences between trans and cis people. To be perfectly honest, everybody, there's not that many physical differences between random man and random woman. Like,
especially
in
when
sports,
especially at high-level sports.
Well, like, this is the thing. It's like, most sports things, what matters is not what your sex or gender is. What matters is your height, your weight, your muscle mass. So, like, if you put me against China in a wrestling match, I'm gonna die. Like, it does not matter that I am born male. It does not matter at all. This is so crazy. And, like, at the end of the day, like, so much of like sports being a competition is kind of absurd. Like, you either have a physical body that can do X or not, and your body can only do so much. And that's okay, and we shouldn't really be comparing each other. I know, I'm on my pinko commie horse on that one.
Well, if you're going to go pinko commie, let's talk about how China and Russia, well, especially China, has a history of being dodgy about testing results, or even
or how the American media claims that, which we have no interest in trying to look like we're better than them.
Sure,
Never.
Not the suspiciously young-looking female gymnasts who claim
there are over
a
billion people in China. I'm sure they can find 2 or 3 competitive athletes for every sport. Like, come on, like just the sheer statistical odds in their favor.
But this is about stacking the medals. This is about national pride, not really about athletic prowess. At some points in the Olympics has always been part athletic competition, part national. I was
going to say part. I don't think we should get into that because it's a little bit like a prop-up dictatorship. People remember Germany during Hitler got to host the Olympics. I think that's irrelevant. I think what's relevant here is trans people are people.
Yes.
And we should allow people to play sports. Well, and like skill, and I don't mean physical press, like the actual like ability to have skill, to figure out the right tactic, the right way, that should matter in sports.
Well, and I'm looking back. I mean, I'm having a flashback, and it might seem a little off the track, but I remember being in elementary school and junior high, even high school, and playing, co-ed gym classes. And there were many women who were better than some of the guys. It's, so.
Depending on the day, sometimes the girls were like 9 times better than all the boys because the boys were just goofing off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then the boys get better and become incels.
But thank God for studying.
Well, you really nailed it, Bobby, on that one. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up entertainment. Netflix CEO pushes back on trans agenda claim. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos clashed with MAGA-aligned Senator Josh Hawley during a U.S. Senate hearing this week after Hawley accused the streamer of pushing transgender ideology on children. Sarandos appeared before the Senate on Tuesday, February 3rd, to answer questions about Netflix's proposed merger with Warner Brothers. Instead, Hawley repeatedly focused on what he called Netflix's agenda to indoctrinate children. The Missouri Republican asked, quote, "Why is it that so much of Netflix content for children promotes a transgender ideology? Almost half of your content for children." I'm talking about minor children now. I'm not talking about teenagers. Minor children promotes a transgendered ideology agenda, end quote. Sarandos responded, "Respectfully, sir, it's because it's inaccurate." Hawley doubled down, asking if it is an advocacy position for Netflix. Sarandos firmly pushed back, declaring Netflix does not have any political agenda and parents can block titles they don't want their children to watch. According to the Daily Beast, Hawley cited a report from the Oversight Project formerly tied to the Heritage Foundation, which helped develop Project 2025. Well, now, first off, I just want to thank Hawley for clarifying the difference between minor children and children, because I didn't know that a 40-year-old could call themselves a child, but apparently Hawley is a man-child and thinks these things. Now, as for Netflix, I agree. I don't think Netflix supports trans people one bit. Netflix is known for putting on transphobic comedians. They're become really bad at they don't put up LGBT content like they used to. And let's all remember, this is about a merger between them and Warner Brothers, which will serve one purpose: to make all of our subscriptions more expensive. This is about creating more monopoly. That is Netflix's real political agenda here.
But I just want to parse that. The Warner Brothers, Netflix trying to purchase Warner Brothers it's just the least bad of our two options, because what right now, and this is why this whole thing is happening, is because Larry Ellison, the one Oracle, the new owner of TikTok, fan of fascism and MAGA and all that, and he has been screwing with the algorithm on TikTok. We can barely see certain news items anymore. But
just to let you know, regulators could always reject both bids and say, no, Warner Brothers, you're not allowed to merge or something like that.
Well, no. But Larry Ellison's group and his son, who now owns Paramount, want to force the merger of Warner Brothers at White House.
With Paramount.
No, with Paramount at the White House's urging, with the sole purpose of, let me finish, with the sole purpose of destroying CNN, because Trump doesn't like CNN. Trump wants to demolish CNN or turn it into a right-wing outlet, just like what Barry Weiss did at CBS News, and he wants more channels that reflect Republican conservative propaganda, which is why Hawley was dragged, which is why this hearing is called, which is why they are reading literal playbook from the Heritage Foundation, formerly
That's a wonderfully long story. That's the same point. Whether Warner Brothers mergers with Netflix or with Paramount, whether Paramount, Netflix, and Warner Brothers have a threesome, it doesn't matter. Mergers of this kind are going to drive up prices for consumers.
Of course it is. Going to
all these merger options are bad.
But that's just one side.
And the government's regulators can say no to both.
Yeah, except that the government regulators are not going to say no, because they are already in the because this administration is already has undue influence on regulators, or they get rid of regulators who don't agree with them. We are now fighting a war for the Federal Reserve, a traditionally very nonpartisan, very neutral.
Keep it one agency at a time. Most people don't even know what the Federal Reserve is. We'll teach you another night, kid. Google it. Any thoughts, Larry? Do you like anything on Netflix? Or do you like HBO Max or whatever Warner Brothers is calling itself?
Well, actually, no. I actually have not been an HBO subscriber in a while. I've thought about Netflix before this story. But one of the interesting things, too, is Netflix is building a new studio in New Jersey, which is a blue state from where I was native to. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see, once all this gets sorted out, how they kind of land. I like to think with the crash and burn of the Kennedy Center, which I refuse to call it what it's called.
Well, it is an act of Congress is needed to change its name.
Sure.
Same like the Department of Defense.
But
can't
I guess the point of what I'm saying is I like to think that Netflix will maybe be a little bit more balanced in terms of what they're presenting, and not is right wing as Hollywood.
And if we're going to loop back to the Kennedy Center, the John F. Kennedy Center,
we can do that on another story, Bobby.
I just want to note that now that all the performers are no longer willing to perform there, they have abruptly shut it down and quote unquote for reconstruction.
Yes, we should do that as a separate news story. But the only other thing I'll say on this is the funniest weird take I've heard is that Netflix did this offer knowing regulators won't say yes to either, but it freezes Warner Brothers from doing anything to directly compete with Netflix for 2 years. That sink into your head. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Pedro Pascal and Danny Ramirez play lovers in De Noche. It's official. Pedro Pascal and Danny Ramirez are playing lovers in De Noche, a new gay film from director Todd Haynes. Pascal stars as a hard-boiled detective opposite Ramirez as his young lover, set in the 1930s of Los Angeles. The film follows their passionate affair as corruption forces them to flee to Mexico. The project resumes after Joaquin Phoenix's abrupt exit. But both these stars have already co-starred in HBO's The Last of Us. Well, I have not seen it yet. They're still filming. But that boy looks like a cutie patootie. So good for him, girl. Like, take your shirt off in that film, hopefully. And maybe your pants, too.
And also, Pedro is a huge supporter of trans rights. And he pioneered the Protect Dolls thing that T-shirt went everywhere last year. So good for him.
Well, I can't wait to check it out. I'm intrigued by the 1930s historically, being a history nerd. So I'm excited to see, the story and look forward to it.
Very interesting from a noir perspective.
Exactly. And I just love Pedro Pascal. He is a real daddy, y'all.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA view. Kid Rock, Turning Point USA, and a troubling track. Kid Rock is set to headline Turning Point USA's alternative Super Bowl halftime show, but critics are raising alarms over his past lyrics. Several outlets wrote that Kid Rock released a 1997 song referencing sex with underage girls, now resurfacing as conservative face renewed scrutiny over child sex trafficking scandals. The controversy deepens as Turning Point USA strongly supports Donald Trump, whose administration has been accused of withholding large portion of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Well, every accusation is a confession with certain parts of American politics, and it comes as no surprise there. It's going to be Kid Rock with a bunch of who's that of American entertainment, and it's going to be aired in like 5 small outlets. So you're going to have to work really hard just to find it. Meanwhile, Bad Bunny, who is actually an American born in Puerto Rico, is going to headline the Super Bowl along and opening by Green Day, the notoriously not Trump-friendly band, is apparently going to start the show before the Super Bowl. So I know which side I'm going to watch.
Oh, Green Day. I remember when they used to, simpler times when they would just bash George W. Bush. But, Bobby, hold on.
Song.
Yeah, Bobby, I look at this, I see, sexual abuse, child molestation accusations, not even D-list, but like G or H-list celebrities, possibly Epstein hauling around.
D-list will be insult to Kathy Griffin.
Epstein might be palling around in the back. I'm like, is this the Republican National Convention of 2016? Kids, if you know, just Google it if you don't.
Well, I mean, I don't think Grindr is going to crash this time. But Larry, anything to add?
I'm just amazed, that they have an artist like Kid Rock who, has a song about, being with underage girls and, joking in the lyrics about it being statutory, and that's great.
I mean,
I did Google ahead of time. I was like, well, how old was he when he said it? Not to defend him, but like if he was 18, it's a little different. He was like in his late 20s or something. I was like, that's even creepier. This was not like teenage person saying something stupid.
If we really think about it, he's the latter-day Ted Nugent, who is also notoriously pro-Trump and also notoriously writes songs and marry women who are severely underage.
Oh boy. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Anti-gay campaign falsely accuses Obama. A new campaign called Greater Than falsely implies support for Barack Obama to attack marriage equality. The group misused a 2010 Obama quote, "We know that children benefit not just from loving mothers and loving fathers, but from strong and loving marriages as well," end quote, to suggest opposition to same-sex marriage. That quote came from a responsible fatherhood event, not an anti-gay speech. Obama publicly backed marriage equality in 2012, becoming the first sitting U.S. president to do so. Advocates say that the campaign relies on fear, racist imagery, and long-debunked smears against queer parents, despite overwhelming research showing queer families raise thriving children. Well, of course it's ridiculous. I mean, Obama has been one of our greatest supporters, and certainly we saw the nationalization of marriage equality, and he's a great man. So it's just a bunch of crap. I tried to research that group, and I couldn't even find anything immediately on the internet.
I read briefly about them. Yeah. They are another one that is one of those AstroTurf organizations. Basically, wealthy donors artificially create some kind of, quote, grassroots movement. And also, can we just point out how uncreative this all is? They are basically co-opting the colors of human rights campaign. They're literally co-opting, the style of the damn thing. I understand the lack of imagination is part of the conservative ethos because, creativity breeds, creativity seeks critical thinking as part of it, and conservatives doesn't really like critical thinking.
I hear you. I do think it is kind of hilarious to watch HRC's logos and style, and possibly even its campaign materials be ripped by an anti-gay group. Someone who's worked for another national LGBTQ org. HRC is notorious for doing that to other people, so I'm sorry for the absurd justice sort of playback on it, but in all seriousness, Obama obviously supports marriage equality, but we should also dive into how he came about to getting to support marriage equality, and there's 2 parts of it. One, one of the few times I will defend Joe Biden is he slipped out that like, of course we support Pedro, like, and like he came out first by accident, and Obama had to like catch up, which I always think is a hilarious little tidbit. But like at the same time, like the thing that annoyed me with Democrats back then was like everyone knew that none of them were clearly anti-gay marriage. They just kept saying they supported like civil unions to sound political, and it was completely, no one bought it. It was crap. And now people are able to use your words from 10, 20 years ago against you because you just weren't honest and supportive. Just support people. Don't try to PR explain or whatever you want to call Democrat misspeak about. Just support people. Support other human beings, for pity's sake.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. Zane Phillips breaks the internet again. It is always a good day when a new photo shoot with Zane Phillips drops. The sexy actor, known for flexing his impressive physique in hit projects like Fire Island and Mid-Century Modern, but his latest set of pictures is blowing up social media. Naturally, fans had a field day with the spicy new shots, and the internet is absolutely eating it up. Well, lately it has been, we are eating well. So to take the parlance of Gen Z, we have a surplus of hot men posing provocatively on camera for our benefit. This is not always the case. We are always used to have a lot more female presence in the photo shoot space, more than male, but now we have a lot more, from Zane Phillips here to the boys from Heated Rivalry. There'll be more coming out soon, and we are just basically have this tide of hot, half-naked men watching over us, and now I sound like a lecherous old man.
Yeah, but like this guy, I know your type, Bobby, and this boy is so your type. Like I might be like, I like my Troye Sivan types, but like this one, he's very pretty. Don't get me wrong, this guy's very pretty, but he's definitely your type, girl.
Your type looks more like Troye Sivan.
That's what I just said, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you for quoting me to me. It's my favorite subject. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. These hockey butts are breaking the internet. If you're suddenly very interested in all things pro hockey, we don't blame you. Heated Rivalry has us all thirsting for the hot boys. While there is currently 0 publicly out players in the league, and the NHL has some problems on that front, it does boast one undeniable gift: a sea of caked up and stacked up hockey butts. Pride.com has done the hard work for you and found a Twitter account named @butts_, so you get the right thing, of another / hockey, which is doing the Lord's work by spotlighting elite booty talent, from Thomas Harley and Mika Rattanen to Austin Matthews and beyond. Well, first, we just did a story about like some thirsty man, and now we have all these other thirsty men. Then I just want to say, you were talking earlier about like boys taking their shirts off more. I don't think hot men should even wear clothes most of the time.
Yeah, but hockey butts is not just. I mean, yes, hockey is in right now, so hockey butts is in. But we have been thirsting over baseball player butts. NFL butts are like basically wearing the tightest of tights with tiny little jockstrap underneath, and if the team has white uniforms, there's left nothing to the imagination whatsoever.
So basically what you're saying is we all need to get out more.
Yeah, we all need to touch grass, people.
Well, I meant touch a boy at the club. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, happening on our television network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Alex Morash, and thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors who have put up with me all night. Thank you, guys. Here's at Queer News Tonight, which is Larry Farver and Dr. Bobby Huen. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we wish you a good night.